We're
Is
here.
it still snowing by you?
Let's see. Oh, you can see it out back there. Yes, it's like a like if it was
Like
not
a small flake.
yeah, it's like a mist, but it's frozen. I don't know how. Like I would say it's like spitting if it was raining, but it's snow.
So my parents and my grandma are in India now. They're going to be there for 2 months ish.
Love that
And
for them.
they like called us. It was really funny. When they got into Mumbai, they like called us and they were like, hey, like we see like a big winter storm's coming. Are you guys ready? And I was like, hey, I can't wait. It's going to snow so much. I'm so excited. And they were like, we're here like worrying that you guys, you know, things are going to freeze, power outages might happen. And you're just like all bright and happy about it. And I was like, well, yeah, snow.
It's snow. I do feel like, so again, from Oklahoma, like St. Louis and like Missouri in general, I feel like they bury their power lines. So I feel like power outages from like ice and snow being on power lines is a lot less likely. Oklahoma, everything is above ground. So like a little bit of ice just absolutely snaps poles over. So I do feel like we're less likely. Clearly we have power. We're recording.
Funny enough, I mean, yes, but funny enough, our power lines are not buried, but they're like quite sturdy.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. The ones in my neighborhood are mostly buried. So, but
yeah. Well, hello everyone.
Hi, y'all.
Welcome to Book Witches with a B.
I'm Colleen.
I'm Orja, and we are pretty much snowed in, which is why we're recording virtually.
Yes. I mean, I could go outside, but that feels silly. So
I could go outside, but I don't think I want to drive until I might even work from home tomorrow, to be honest. But yeah, if you are experiencing the snowstorm, hopefully you are safe,
warm,
and inside.
Yes.
And hopefully the only reason you're going out is if you too have a pesky dog that will not shut up about going out in the snow.
It's fair.
Well, we're talking about what a good season to be reading The Phoenix King, honestly. Like, it's so hot in the book.
It's set in a desert.
It's set in a desert. Yes. We're talking about chapters 16 through 18 of The Phoenix King today. Yes. And I guess, are you ready to go to our chapter recap?
Whoop, whoop. Yeah, I'm ready.
Whoop, whoop. All right, let's do it. Chapter 16, which is from Leo's point of view. Beware the desert spider, for she is fearless and therefore powerful, a Ravani proverb. Leo prepares to depart the palace with the ashes of, the girl. But instead, he scatters the ashes of an innocent girl he burned after mistaking her for the prophet. So basically, I mean, he is very upset. He is so, devastated by what he's done. He still chose to do it, and he's still choosing to continue to pursue this. But he's very devastated by his actions, which is complicated. And so he's just he scatters her ashes, and then he gets onto his little plane. They're going to visit one of the black sites, the one that Sina is in. Racked with guilt, he questions whether sacrificing one life for many is truly just. Depends. That's complicated. Seeking grounding, Leo goes to see his daughter, Alina, and watches her dance, reminded of her mother, Anna. He lies about his visit, claiming a ritual blessing, avoiding the truth about the fire and its cost. He has a moment of, what he thinks is weakness, where he's like, I need to see Alina, and I need to hold her to me, and, I need to protect her. Alina expresses disappointment that he still refuses her request to learn how to wield fire. The father and daughter share a tender moment, recalling Anna and briefly easing Leo's emotional burden. Alina asks what her mother would think of Leo now, a question that lingers unanswered as duty calls him away. He does know what she would think of him. Sometimes he hears her voice echoing, selfish, selfish Mohari, which is, true. Mm-hmm. We can talk about it more in the deep dive, but I do think that Anna would still love him regardless, but she would be disappointed.
Yeah.
While traveling to the secret outpost Badala, Leo discusses political strategy with Samson, including inviting King Pharon to a royal ball to maintain the illusion of peace. Leo experiences a violent vision mid-flight, seeing prophetic runes burned into the desert. Upon arrival at Badala, intelligence confirms the runes do exist exactly as he saw them. Leo confronts High Priestess Sina, who claims the runes foretell the prophet's rebirth and an attack on the palace. Sensing deception, Leo orders all the runes mapped together. The completed map reveals the symbols form a labyrinth centered on the Temple of Fire, not the palace.
No.
Leo realizes that the prophet is not a child from the streets, but a priest raised within the temple itself. Enraged, Leo burns Sina's hand, proving she's not the prophet and accusing her of orchestrating the girl's death. He's like, "You made me burn her." No,
No.
but okay, it's fine. He declares his intent to purge the fire order until the true prophet is found. He's gonna burn them all.
Yeah.
Recognizing the political danger of open violence, Leo shifts to strategy. He orders the search for girls halted and seals the Temple of Fire as a black site under palace control. All communications to and from the temple are cut off under the guise of coronation preparations. Leo leaves Badala resolved to dismantle the fire order from within. Reflecting on his father's madness and the corrupting nature of faith and fire, Leo vows not to lose himself to the fire. The chapter ends with Leo determined to protect Alina and the kingdom at all costs, believing himself strong enough to withstand the heat without breaking. Chapter 17. Yasin. There once were two lovers, a Yumi and a man. They cared for each other deeply, but their kind would not accept their union. One night, in anguish, the pair met under the stars and cried out their love. So moved were the gods that they turned the lovers into the moons, Chand and Chandani. They still live together in eternity, or they shall live together in eternity, the gods said, and give light to those who must meet in the secrecy of night. From the legends and myths of Sion. Yasin interrogates captured Aruhasan agent Jorna under observation by Leo, Samson, and the military officials. Jorna refuses to give information despite injuries inflicted before Yasin's arrival. Using psychological misdirection rather than torture, Yasin casually discusses weapons, baiting Jorna into correcting him. She inadvertently reveals critical intel, access to 7th generation Ravani pulse guns, a supplier in Rasbakan, and reference to, quote, stepwells. Yasin exits the interrogation, revealing to Leo and Samson that the Raja stepwell in Western Rani is likely an Aruhasan weapons drop point connected to Maya. Though some generals doubt him, Samson defends Yasin's value, and Leo authorizes discreet surveillance of the location. Leo orders Yasin to personally bring Maya in once she is found. Afterwards, Yasin struggles with guilt over Jorna's likely fate and recognizes his own expandability in Leo's political calculations. Oh, ChatGPT. Samson reassures Yasin of his protection, deepening their bond, though Yasin feels conflicted and guarded. He visits the palace dance studio, where Verma unexpectedly affirms her trust in him. He watches Alina dance, captivated by her grace, freedom, and presence. At the guru's insistence, Yasin joins Alina in rehearsing the Phoenix dance, despite his discomfort. I can't wait to talk about this. The intimate rehearsal heightens unspoken tension between them, revealing emotional and physical chemistry. Yasin and Alina share a brief secretive exchange that leaves Yasin unsettled and intrigued. Later that night, Yasin leaves the palace and wanders the capital incognito. As he explores familiar streets, the memories of childhood and petty theft with Samson surface, highlighting how much the city has changed. Yasin stumbles upon an underground protest led by a charismatic woman calling for revolution and denouncing Leo, the Phoenix myth, and inherited rule. As debate erupts between believers in the Phoenix and the revolutionary skeptics, exposing deep... Oh, let me start that over. A debate erupts... Not as a debate erupts. It's fine. A debate erupts between believers in the Phoenix and revolutionary skeptics, exposing deep ideological fractures within the population. Yasin notices signs that the protest is being monitored by goldcaps. The gathering turns violent when goldcaps open fire on the crowd. Wow, this is actually very trigger warning.
I was
What's happening right now?
thinking, I read, fun fact, read this, and then because I hadn't been on the news all day, immediately turned on like socials, and I was like, oh, that's why when I
Yeah.
texted you, I'm like, I'm sad. That
Yeah.
was why. Yeah,
I'm just gonna eat some turkey bacon for a second.
I know. I'm gonna touch on it just a little bit, not technically current political, but ish. So you'll see. I have a corner.
Yep.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Yasin narrowly avoids the attack, subdues an armed Goldcap, but is verbally identified as a Janthari, reminding him of his outsider status. Choosing restraint over violence, Yasin knocks the man unconscious and flees as chaos erupts. Shaken by the brutality, hypocrisy, and cyclical nature of power and rebellion, Yasin concludes that all sides are driven by destructive fire. The chapter ends with Yasin, overwhelmed by anger and helplessness, convinced that everyone involved, rulers, rebels, and believers, is trapped in the foolish, repeating patterns. Chapter 18, Alina. There is some comfort in the emptiness of the desert. Here, the past is erased by the wind, and the future is yet to be written. From the diaries of Priestess Nomu of the Fire Order. Alina storms into Leo's study, furious over the Gold Cap's violent suppression of a civilian protest in Rani. Leo dismisses her outrage, insisting the protesters were armed rebels backed by the Arohasin. Alina accuses Jungir and the Gold Caps of planting weapons to justify the massacre, citing the death of a civilian she personally knew. Spoiler, it is the merchant who was trying to leave, which is really sad. Yeah.
Sobbed.
Really sad. Father and daughter clash over power, truth, and control. Alina argues repression will fracture the kingdom, while Leo insists fear and narrative control are necessary for stability. Leo claims the unrest will end once Alina is crowned queen, but Alina reveals her fear that she cannot rule without publicly wielding fire. She accuses Leo of deliberately withholding her training so that he can retain real power behind the throne. Alina challenges Leo to hold Jungir and the Gold Caps accountable, and he refuses, openly valuing their blind loyalty over moral restraint. Realizing her father will not relinquish control, Alina leaves, shaken and disillusioned. In her chambers, Alina confides in Verma, admitting she doubts her ability to rule and feels trapped as a symbolic figurehead. Verma reassures her, invoking Anna's legacy and insisting Alina can still learn to wield fire. Alina reflects on her mother's death, suspecting Anna knew Alina would never naturally hold fire, and that Leo fears this truth. Verma encourages Alina to build alliances beyond her father, warning her not to isolate Samson. Alina asks Verma to retire once she is queen and serve instead as her Astra. Verma reluctantly agrees to consider it. Alina rides into the desert with Samson, finding freedom in the speed and movement. She notices that where Yasin was like kind of very natural in the desert, Samson is not a natural in the desert. He cannot move. He trudges through the sand. Yeah. She leads him to Alibor's Tear. Alibor's Tear? Tear?
I read it, so I'm going to say tear. I assume it's tear because it kind of felt like a drop.
I thought so too. She leads him to Alibor's Tear, a sacred valley tied to Phoenix mythology, subtly asserting her own authority and knowledge. Their conversation turns personal as Samson recounts his origins, his mother's prophetic dream, and his belief that some fragile fire must be protected. I have so many thoughts about this. Alina senses Samson's loyalty, but also his unresolved past, particularly regarding Seshar and Janthar. Samson shares how he first met Yasin as a child thief in Ravens, explaining his enduring trust in him. Back at the palace, Alina orders a private training session in the game suit arena, signaling a shift towards self-reliance. She instructs Verma to discreetly ensure Varun's reports proceed, choosing action over obedience to her father. During the trial, Alina fights through a lethal obstacle course until she is nearly consumed by quicksand. Yasin intervenes, coaching her through escape, revealing his watchfulness and concern. The two spar in the arena, their duel intense, balanced, and charged with unspoken intimacy. Okay, ChatGPT,
Ooh.
you picked up on it.
Yes. Yes, it did.
Alina wins by exploding Yasin's deliberate opening, realizing only after that he allowed her victory once again. The moment leaves her unsettled, aware of both his strength and his willingness to yield to her. Exhausted, Alina retreats to her chambers but cannot rest, her thoughts fixed on power, fire, and her own inadequacy. Late at night, she secretly practices the phoenix swarms using her mother's scroll, determined to master fire alone. After repeated failures, Alina briefly achieves control, the flame responding to her movement and focus. Pushing too far, she loses balance. The orb shatters, flames explode, and she badly cuts her hands. Alina barely manages to extinguish the fire with water, bleeding and shaking in the fountain. The chapter ends with Alina staring at the ashes, caught between laughter and sobs, determined, wounded, and still unchosen by the fire.
Ouch.
I know. There's a lot to unpack here. Let's just jump right into it. Let's go to section superlatives. Section
Woo.
superlatives. Who do you think the drama queen of this section is?
I don't know. Actually, I mean, I know who the most dramatic is, but I don't know if he's being a drama queen. I think his
Is it
drama.
Leo?
It's Leo, yeah, but he's
Yeah.
always just like so dramatic that I don't necessarily think it's disproportionate to what's happening, which I think is what's hard.
No. Mm-hmm. I do think they're all being quite level-headed.
Yeah.
Relatively level-headed, I guess.
Yeah, the world's kind of on literal fire, depending on your situation. So I do think, like, it's hard to assign. Like, when we originally did this, it was like it's always Tamlin because like the world is just not at the time whatever he's making it out to be, kind of thing. I think it's harder to assign that here. I was thinking, like, I don't know, like for some reason Samson kind of came to mind because I do think he's almost like not dramatic enough. Like it's almost the opposite in a weird way, where he's just like everything's fine and it's gonna work out. I know we're not seeing his perspective. He's kind of the only main character we haven't seen his perspective yet, which I think is why it's kind of that way.
I think that adds to the drama.
I think so too.
Of him. Yeah. I like it. I'll agree with you. Maybe Samson.
Okay. It's hard to gauge, but that's the closest I'm gonna give because we don't know his inner monologue. So
yeah. Craziest thing to happen. For me, it was the rebellion.
Yeah, like the rebellion.
That whole thing turning into a massacre. The propaganda.
The propaganda part's what surprised me. The actual rebellion part specifically, because which I highlighted it because it like really struck my brain. Yasin being like, I saw a young martyr. Like he immediately was like, she spoke like a young martyr. He could like immediately tell. Maybe not as quickly as he was expecting, but he's like, I know where this is going to end for her, kind of thing, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, except it was immediate, though.
Very immediate, yeah. I don't think he was quite anticipating it to be that quick, I'll be honest. But
no, he was, no, that was crazy. It was like the massacre that like broke out so immediately, and then the cover-up was like, that was like, what?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh no. Oh, and it's like near the end of that section, and then it just kind of bleeds over into the next. So it's kind of almost like the last major thing outside of the fire that like happens. I know we had the little fun fight sequence or whatever, which is a good little palate cleanser. But like plot point wise,
I was gonna say, I don't know if this has like an actual superlative like category, but just the technology caught me completely off guard again.
Oh yeah, pulse guns every time.
Pulse guns, game suit arena, and like the game room. Like what? Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
it's very like Hunger Games.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just saying that I'm like, oh yeah. She's like, yeah, I wish we could use these all the time. My muscles feel better. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, like what does that mean? I don't understand.
She's like, my muscles are leaner and longer. And I'm like, does it give you like fake muscle? Like, I don't understand. Like,
Yeah.
is it like a temporary pump? I don't know. I was
It's
a
always
little
very
confused.
surprising.
Yeah, every time. Every time.
Yeah.
Because I think it's so like subtle. It's like it's definitely there. Well, even like when Leo goes to the prison, he's like, "Yeah, we have these big like screens," and in my head, I'm like, "Oh yeah, like a projection screen." No, it's like a full holographic, like replaying all of this
It's
stuff
just a
screen,
hologram.
and I'm like, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot."
Oh yeah, and he's on like a plane. Like what?
Oh yeah, like a hover plane thing.
Yeah,
There's
a
another
hovercraft. Yeah.
book that I started reading that I'm like physically reading and it's kind of dense called The Will of the Many that is really similar to this that it's in terms of like setting but it's more white based. It's not based in India but it's like Roman and Greek based and it has a lot of that things except for like everything is powered by will, like you seed your will kind of thing, but it has these like
That's cool.
it's like a hovercraft thing, but it's still stone. It's a really weird way that it combines like modern tech with. So I think this world is probably even more modern than there is, but it's got this like similar vibe to it. So
Wild.
yeah.
Okay.
Boop.
Well, are you ready to take it to your corner?
I am. It's not a happy one. I will be honest with you. So
Right. I'll just eat while you're talking. Colleen's
okay.
corner /
Woo.
gorgeous snack time.
Woo!
Woo!
Okay. I prepared some notes because I was trying really hard to think of the best way to go about this topic because it's not an easy or fun one. But it's come up twice in this chapter, so I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. But it's the concept of does the ends justify the means? So I have two different like sections that I want to talk about. Yeah, I know, not easy.
Let's go.
It's complicated, and I tried to like show both sides. I made that was the notes I was making right before we started. But I have two different sections I want to read. Okay, so the first kind of like section that we see this, and we mentioned it in the deep dive, but Leo is like justifying killing this little girl. Basically, in his mind, he said, "Surely the life of a girl will not matter against the lives of thousands," and yet, like that's. He's like, surely it won't matter. That I will be honest with you, the concept of that drives me personally up a wall. I think it's spoilers.
Let's go.
I don't like it. I don't think one person has any more right to live more than another person does. That is just humans are humans. So I
have a devil's advocate question to ask you.
Okay.
What if you knew? What if you personally knew that you could save thousands of people suffering if you killed one person?
And I've been, and I know, and yes, but I don't feel like me, even if I knew it, me taking that into my hands and taking away someone else's life just because of that, I don't think justifies it. I'm still killing somebody, and I'm choosing, like, in my mind, that's what Leo's doing, right? In his mind, he genuinely thinks he's saving thousands of people by killing this.
Yeah,
exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We very much have a good reflection of that, but he is very much, and so I think that's the like delusional thought process sometimes that comes with this. Interestingly, an idea that I thought about with this, because it's always like the time travel question of like a very similar person is, well, if you could go back in time, of course you'd kill Hitler. Sure, yeah, but like you're still ending a person's life with the assumption that that was how it was going to end, but you don't always know that, right? Like just because it wasn't Hitler doesn't mean it won't be someone else. You're just ending someone's life for someone else to be in that position.
This is very true.
Kind of thing.
Follow-up question for you. I'm not disagreeing or agreeing with you.
Okay.
I don't think that I could. I don't know. Anyways, follow-up question.
Yes, ma'am.
If you were not if you were not doing the action, but you knew that someone was going to go would you condone someone else ending a person's life in order to save a bunch of people, I guess?
No, because I mean, even if it's not me doing it, I just, I guess there's a difference between condone and judgment. Depending, I may not necessarily judge them depending on the situation, but like if it's someone like,
Yeah.
I think there's a difference. Like if it's someone who was, if it's in like a self-defense thing, so I'm not, so like if it's someone who was personally hurt by this person and they chose to retaliate, that is very different than I, as a person, thinks that this will make the world better, so I'm going to take away the life of this person. That's the justification that I'm talking about. That's very different.
It's really interesting that you say that, because when I was just stumbling over my thoughts, I too was thinking, like, I don't know if I could kill someone to save like thousands of people, but if it was like to save like my family, probably yes.
So again, and I do think that's what Leo is thinking, and so I think that's the struggle here, and the murder is a concept, right? Is struggle. Revolution is a concept, because that kind of rolls up into this a little bit, because I'm going to read into. So we kind of have two different examples in the book of people having this concept of ends justifying the means, and I think if we don't have a clear-cut moral boundary with that, we get into a very slippery slope that leads to bad things. And so that's why I'm probably a little more definite on it than maybe I think some other people. I probably shouldn't be as definite, but I think for me it just it's like baby steps that gets you to, well, I mean, where we are now, if we really want to put it in this, right? Like if you don't, you have to, I don't know. Again, someone defending themselves, someone fighting back against an abuser, actually, those are very, very different things than
so different.
What I'm talking about in this
concept. And like killing a person to protect the lives of, you know, the ambiguous masses, right? That's like
because you can't
you're
ever
projecting your you're projecting your own like motivation, needs, thoughts,
and wants
on this act. Oh, I love that so much. So also, like, for those of you who are new, who are just joining us, Colleen is a very grounded in logic and reality person.
I am. Yes, I am a very black and white person, literally to the point that my boss brought it up in my review this week. So I'll have to tell you about that later. To me, black and white makes gray is complicated. Black and white, and again, there are some things in life that are gray. I'm not saying life can't be gray, but there are certain things that I think so. Okay, so we have Leo's perspective.
Okay.
I have another note about the Arahasan that Yasin talks about. So they're talking about so this is him kind of reflecting on the young girl, which we never get her name either. There's a lot of unnamed women in this book that I find really fascinating, because I made a note also, we never know the name of the little girl. We call her little girl because we never learned her name. Leo calls her the girl with starlight in her hair. He refuses to learn her name. And I think that's intentional by the author, and I think she did a good job with that. But also probably a good way to tell if someone's going to die in this book. But so Yasin goes, the Arahasan believed in revolution. They decried the phoenix because she was not real. Alibor Ravens was not a holy figure, but a shrewd general who knew how to manipulate his enemies. They had made Yasin believe that the only way to create change was by destroying the old. Now, I'm going to tread mildly carefully when I go to talk about this, but I will state with this that this is something that I actively did research on in college. So I'm going to dabble a little bit in communism. We're going to dabble in that. So
full steam ahead.
Okay. So I did a lot of research on Karl Marx. So interestingly, if you don't know a lot about sociology, one of the big three founders of sociology is Karl Marx. He is one of the people that you can frame. So there's like framework for your research that you can do. Karl Marx and his framework is considered like a legitimate framework for study. It is not the one that I choose. It is not my favorite personally, but it is one that you can choose and do a lens through. Okay, so fun
fact, I may or may not know a couple of Marxists. I'm not one of them. I have no problem.
No, I know, but so that's why I'm aware. So that's why I'm like, just keep in mind.
I don't have any emotion attached to it. I just wanted to. I think it's like kind of funny.
Well, I know other people might.
But yes, other people will. Yeah.
With the next thing that I'm gonna mention, because
let's do it.
People who are modern Marxists don't like to hear this part, but this was true, so I'm just throwing it out there. So Karl Marx wrote a book. This inspired someone else named Friedrich Engels. So him and Karl Marx were like besties isn't the right word, but like good friends. business partners is a weird way to put it, but Frederick Engels was a wealthy person that funded Karl Marx. I don't think Karl Marx wrote about like utopia, right? Like that's the ultimate communistic thing of we all cooperate and work together and we have this utopia. It is a lovely idea. I'm not saying it's not. I think it's great. Getting there is its own hassle. But the way that Karl Marx and Frederick Engels decided that they were going to get there was literally the only way to start over was to burn the current system to the ground, literally start a revolution, kill all the so similar to the Arahasan, kill all of the leaders, burn the entire system, crash it down, and then build it back up brick by brick from the destruction. That's very much the ends justify the means situation, and I think that is, I don't know, in that setting I get what they're saying, but it just creates its own power vacuum where someone else is just going to step up if you just do it in a different way. That is the issue with the like burn it to the ground to build back up system. It's a little idealistic, which is typically the criticism against Marxism and maybe specifically like communism. But I don't know, any sort of but my caveat to that is any sort of change of power is going to come with destabilization, and I don't think that fighting for a change of power is a negative either. I'm not saying that like, oh, every system is totally fine. So that's kind of where I get into these notes that I've made. Let me see where I'm at now.
I have a thought on that.
Yes.
The famous saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
That's what I was thinking as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like when we're talking about monarchs, but when you're talking about burning an entire system to the ground to build it back up brick by brick, that is also absolute power.
Yes. So I made two different notes, so I'm kind of trying to make sure I'm following along. But so the ends will justify creating a power vacuum, but this thinking puts them in the same position that the leaders they despise are in. Change of power will always come with challenges and some disruption, but I think that it can be done in ways that are not like Leo or the Arahasan. And so I do go into, okay, so what I do put here, and I wrote this down specifically so I could word it in the right way, because again, I know this is very touchy subjects, especially in a time where fighting against a power structure might be something that people are doing. So what I'm not saying is that standing up to corrupt power structures is wrong. We should stand up for those things. I come from a country, the United States, that was built on revolution. I think it would be silly of me to not say that that's not something that does work in a way, right? Like the US is built on the back of a revolution. It's built and baked into the DNA. I absolutely think you should still stand up and speak out, but you have to know when it is the right time to fight and go into it with a united and clear goal with a practical end game. I think if you go forward with that, where you have a united front with lots of people, where your ideas have been tested amongst a group and actually tested and thought through, and you have a goal, and not to do it with the thought of maintaining your own power, if that makes sense. So I'm not saying that fighting against power or having a revolution is a negative, but I think there's a way to go about it that is better than just saying, if I kill this one person, then everything's going to be better, basically.
Yeah.
And it justifies that mean.
I agree. And then, like, even just, like, yeah, if you're going to start a revolution and you really want to challenge, like, an authoritarian, oppressive society, your goal you can't be like, I'm going to start a revolution because I know how to run the country better.
Yes. It can't be that. And I'm not saying that you can't have an idea of what you think a better structure is, because I think everyone does. Yeah. But it can't be, I'm now the new leader, which is what Yasin is talking about in this. And I think that's kind of the goal of the book a little bit, is to get you to look and see, like, it doesn't matter if you're Leo or these revolutionaries, like the Arahasan, in their own minds are tortured and manipulated into believing that they are changing the world. Right. Yeah. But really, it's just because he wants to maintain, whatever his name is, wants to maintain power. And so I have it written down, but I can't remember.
Akaros.
Aberos, yes. So, Alaboros? Anyhow, whatever. He doesn't matter, basically, in the grand scheme of things. I don't think he deserves his name. But, Sorry, I have strong feelings about him. I don't
No,
like
it's okay. No, it's
Uh,
I'm so excited to get to the end of this book with you. Okay.
I'm stoked. I don't know. Maybe he ends up, if he has a character arc, fair enough. If he doesn't,
Well,
we're
I
gonna
don't
see
know
how
if
it
he
goes.
does or not. He just right now he's kind of like this nameless thing, and he becomes a
Yeah,
little more solid without any
that is
spoilers.
fair. I think I was more putting it into the context of like, I don't know, names have power, and like you're a horrible person, so your name doesn't need or get to be remembered. I think that's
I
kind
like
of
it.
where I was coming from with it. But I don't know. Again, I know this is very like strong opinion based from a me, which I don't tend to do in this section. But I read this and I was very angry about
Yeah.
all of it. And I just think that a good point of this section was really examining what your justification is to do something. And I think regardless of how you choose or where you land on anything, you really, really need to look at the justification of why you're doing it and not lying to yourself. Don't lie to yourself about it. Really look at it. And I think you will be surprised what can come from all of that if we study it and look at it both historically, hence why I brought up the communistic thing, and modernly and in fiction, which I think is what's happening here. So, Colleen's Corner. There you go. That's what I
like
had.
it. That was great. That was
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah, that was incredible. Good job.
Thank you.
See, we are intelligent and we are learned and we have thoughts beyond, oh, he's hot.
I know I make a lot of those thoughts. I still stand by that. But I think you can't only always be one. Like, I think that's also the mistake that some people find is like the more militant element of revolution is you're only focused on this. I'm like, life is a duality of you need to have fun and light and think men are hot or whatever preferred gender you think is hot, right? Like, or non-gender, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you need to have those fun
You need to have
moments.
a life still. Yeah.
Correct. Well, because then what are you fighting for?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Woo.
Ew. There you go.
Okay. I just left that there.
Our empty bottle.
Our empty bottle.
Yep.
Right under my Jane Austen shelf, right next to the flowers. I feel like it's a good place for it.
It's pretty. I like it.
All right. Well, shall we get into the deep dive?
Yeah, let's go.
Deep dive.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So there's two questions I have for you.
Yes, I'm ready.
There's one question I have for you, and then there's something that I really want to talk about too. Two things.
Okay.
How did you feel about Yasin in this section of chapters?
I liked him a lot more. I liked that he seems a lot smarter than he seemed literally any other part of the book so far.
Yeah.
I just feel like he is, and I do think it's coming out of that like shell-shocked trauma thing, and he's not been allowed to really think for himself for a while, so I understand it. But I think this section really confirmed to me that if I was a character in this book, I think I would be Yasin, judging by my whole corner. That's basically his point in this section. So
it is.
Yeah.
I can see that. What did you think about his chemistry with Alina in this section?
I liked that it felt intense.
It feels real.
It feels real without being too like jump my bones. Because sometimes I like tension without an end goal. It just is there. I think there's something, I don't know, tantalizing isn't the right word, but like I can't think of the word because the other one was like yummy, but that's also a weird way to put it. But it's like
it is yummy.
I don't know. It's kind of yummy. There's like something like tension. Slow burns are a really popular genre for a reason. Having like this long built up, which I don't know if they're a slow burn necessarily or not, but this kind of long drawn out snippets of intensity is really enticing. There we go.
Enticing. That's it.
That's what I was going for.
It's like exciting and like it feels good. Yeah. So I have been waiting for us to get to this part of the book since we started.
Yes.
In this section, when Yasin steps in to dance with Alina, they have this dirty dancing moment where he like lifts her up and he's looking at her, right?
Which I love.
But then he lets her down, and her dupatta, her scarf, gets caught on his sleeve button. I can't even talk. I'm so excited.
No, I love it. You're good. You're doing great.
And that is like an exact snippet of this actual moment in one of the songs from the Bollywood movie Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham that has Shah Rukh Khan in it.
He's here. He's here.
And it's this moment between him and the actress Kajol, who, like, yesterday, after reading this, I just watched Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge, which is like the first movie that they were in together that, like, it is by far the most iconic. Like, when you think Bollywood movies as they were in like the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, this movie started that.
Incredible.
It is like iconic. And then I watched Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, which was my favorite movie as a child. Obsessed. I cried a lot more than I thought I would. Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham is like this, like, absolutely ridiculous, really fun movie where Kajol and Shah Rukh Khan acted it again. And there's this moment when he's being all really hot and flirty and they're dancing, and then her dupatta gets caught on his button, and the way that he stares at her with a smolder while she's like really like frantically trying to unattach herself from him because she thinks he's too hot.
It's hot.
That's this moment.
No, it's incredible. It was really good. So Orja sent me the clip. I've started this movie. I have not finished this movie, I will be honest.
That's fair.
But I do like it. It's just long and I have to read the subtitles. So, but it is very good so far. But I did love that scene.
Anyways, it happens if you sorry, I'm just gonna say, if you want to watch the clip of it, it's in the song Ye Ladki Hai Allah, which I will probably make a post on our social media, but it's at 3 minutes and 12 seconds in the song. Okay,
you have it memorized. Oh, I was literally just going to comment that, fun fact, Zayn from One Direction, he has also stated that movie is one of his favorite movies he's ever seen.
It's so good.
His family's Pakistani, so I think it makes sense. But yeah, he's like, I watched that all the time growing up. It's one of my absolute favorites.
That makes a lot of sense. Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I can see him kind of trying to be a little like moody Bollywood.
Watching him perform, I think knowing that that's his background makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I'm a very hardcore One Direction girly. So, yes.
Anyways, as you can tell, I can't even contain myself. Highly recommend. But yeah, it's this moment. And we've talked about how Aparna like takes these really like important, iconic, nostalgic moments from pop culture that we all grew up watching and kind of like flawlessly puts them in the context of these characters and this story. And this is like, I am so happy that she did this.
Yeah, I thought it was a really fun seeing these intermixed with like the death and destruction is really interesting because I think it also can show that you can have these wonderful, lovely little bits.
Yeah,
amongst everything else.
It feels very real, like real life. You still have life happening while everything else around you is happening. Yes. I mean, we're still recording a podcast while life is happening around us, you know.
Yes.
Like,
and I think you should. Like,
yes.
You should have life.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, second question for you.
Yes,
second
ma'am.
thing. Oh, sorry. So we get more about Samson's history in this section. We have been associating him with like a water dragon, essentially.
Yeah.
His mom is associated with a serpent.
Which is what I assumed a water dragon
Which is
was.
water. Yeah, water-based. So I think that we're correct.
I think so too.
It basically just proved our point here.
I would agree. I think it's water dragon. I think they call it a serpent. But water dragon.
A serpent. Exactly. Yeah. And she had prophetic powers.
Which is fun.
Yeah. So like there is more magic in this world.
Which I think is
so interesting.
Why Samson is like, yeah, no, I'm not into the Phoenix. Which I will state, it does seem like he is a lot more stable, even after everything he's had going on, than anyone from Robin's. So it does feel like, even like Yasin, gosh bless him, I think has that like Robin-y insanity that seems to come
Yeah.
with the
With
Phoenix
fire.
situation.
Yeah.
And the fire. Like, which water is a cooling, calm? I would know. I'm a water sign.
I'm fire. It's fine.
A cooling, calm presence. Although I do think if you know enough water signs, which you do, that's not always the case.
I do know several.
But we're very definite people. I will be honest. There's not a lot of wiggle. But I liked him a lot in this section. I can tell he wants to be vulnerable, but doesn't quite. So I have two thoughts on this and this scene. I can't decide if he's actually being vulnerable because he likes Alina and he kind of thinks that maybe she's the flame that he's supposed to protect. There's some inference in that. Or, to be honest with you, knowing his manipulative nature that he had to have to survive is kind of like, I don't know, dog treating her into trusting him. I don't necessarily think it's to ever betray her, but I think he knows that maybe down the line other things are going to have that he's going to have to do other things, and if they build a foundation of like a little bit of trust, that maybe she'll forgive him for whatever he chooses or decides to do later.
Well, there is this whole thing where like he knows that peace talks with Genthar are not gonna succeed, but Alina believes that is the way to go. So I think you're right.
So I am intrigued by him because, again, we don't get his perspective. We only get him through other people. So do we think he actually doesn't think peace talks are going to go through, or do you think he's just saying that to Leo because that's what Leo wants?
I think that he also doesn't want peace talks to go through. I think he wants to get his revenge on
That's fair.
Farin.
On Farin. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, fair enough. Farin, we don't really know what Farin did. Was Farin the one that killed his family? Because his like islands are now under Genthar rule, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
But I think that Farin is a king, and he's arrogant enough to believe that because he's offered Samson protection from the Arohasin, his loyalty, is his.
Like to him. That is fair. See, I will state, this is one of the situations where fighting back against your abuser, totally fine. This person abused him and his family. He is planning to fight back. Very fair. I think that is very justified to me. So, case in point. I liked him a lot in it. I can't decide. He's just such he could go either way character, which I think is interesting. And I think he's leaning more, oh my gosh, I actually highlighted it because I thought it was so funny, and I think it's a really good insight into his and Samson's relationship. But at one point, or Samson and Yasin's relationship, but Yasin, when he's right before the whole massacre thing, goes into town and he parks his bike, like his little like hover bike thing, and he leaves it and he hands these women like a couple of like farthings or something to make sure they watch it. And he goes, but if the women stole the car, at least Yasin would have a new story to tell Samson. Which I really loved and highlighted because I thought it was just such a funny like way to, I think, reflect their relationship with each other. That's very much that like goofy friend, brotherly energy so if we're looking at him through the eyes of Yasin, which I think is probably the most accurate view of him that we're going to have so far, I'm trying to look through that lens instead of the lens that maybe Leo has of him.
I would agree as well, because we get the story of how Yasin and Samson met, which is they were both going for the same cart of mangoes to steal, and Yasin let go and Samson got caught, and he's like, Yasin was smart, he let go, I got caught. But then Yasin came and like saved him essentially. Right? We also get a really sweet story, very funny story from Yasin he's going to this old baker's shop that him and Samson stole from once. And the story is that like Samson's like, I'll distract the daughter, the father is out, you go steal the stuff. So Yasin goes into the store, but the father is back unexpectedly, and so Yasin's like, can you fill me up like all of these sweets, please? And like it's going well, he's wondering, like he's like waiting for his moment to escape. And then there's a sound from the back, and it turns out that Samson was kissing the daughter, and she bit his lip, and he squealed.
And so funny.
The father goes back again, catches Samson. Yasin's like out of there with his sweets and
Yep.
eats like half of the sweets before he's like, "Oh, I should probably go check on Samson." And Samson's just like grinning, a little roughed up, like, "Hey, give me some of those sweets."
Has a black eye. Their relationship, I think it makes because I remember in the beginning when I was like, wow, he just like really seems to forgive Samson so quickly for not coming to get him.
Yeah.
And like seeing kind of a little bit how their relationship was before Ara Hassan, like Yasin did not help Samson. He's like, you're on your own. Like I think that was just kind of their relationship a little bit. Like if one can get out, you go, I'll be here. Almost.
Like they care for each other and they want the best for each other, but they're also in a situation where they have to look out for themselves, and there's that understanding there.
Yes, and I don't think they hold Lord have mercy, hold each other to that standard necessarily. So I really liked it.
But yeah, those two stories were like, I just like how they both. I think that you viewing Samson from Yasin's point of view makes a lot of sense because they both said the exact same thing about each other in both of their stories, basically.
Yes. Yeah, and I think even maybe trying to view Yasin through Samson's lens will also help because they know each other by far the best. I mean, I know it's been a couple of years, but they had the foundational relationship before then. So I think trying to view them, and interestingly, I think viewing Alina and Leo through each other's lenses is also a good way to get a picture of both of them, which I like. So
I agree. Shall we talk about, let's see.
I do have some notes if you are searching for something. If not, I can. Okay.
I am searching.
I have 1, 2, 3, like 4 things, but we don't have to talk about all 4 of them. But I wrote a note
about all 4. We have enough time. Let's do it.
Okay, so we touched on it a little bit, and I touched on it a little bit, but I liked the juxtaposition of these kind of 2 things that happened. So Leo talking about holding his daughter as like comfort, and like literally the number 1 note that I put, I said he gets to do this when that little girl's family does not.
Yep.
And it clearly I have strong feelings about this section, but I was just like very enraged the whole time.
Yeah.
It's just, he's like, I'm going to hold her in comfort. But what I thought was really interesting, and I liked what Aparna did, is very quickly afterwards, after all of that, Alina goes, what would she think of you, father? Like, Alina doesn't know what's happened, but I do think she's really smacking Leo in the face with the person that you loved and was kind of your moral compass, I think, in life. What is she going to think of you? And doing all of the things that you're doing without even knowing everything. He's like jailing this priestess that's really, she does seem a little interesting, to be honest with you. I kind of get it to a point, but at the same time, when you start jailing religious leaders for just telling you that you're wrong is a rough go.
It is.
Like, it's not a good look. So but I think those 2 together, I don't know. Leo is complicated. Like, we're seeing him being like, I'm really morally struggling with this, but I think I have to do it. And I'm like, clearly he figured out that you could just burn their palm, which is what he should have done in the first place. He was just so convinced for some reason. And I don't even think it was the prophecy. He was just convinced it was this girl. So he just burned her alive. I was like, you had a match. Stick it to her.
Yeah.
If she burns or doesn't, you'll know.
Well, yeah, and that's weird because, like, I think it's because Sina said that she was the prophet.
She thought she might be.
But he also knows that she's lying to him. So it's like, why would you?
For someone who I think, this is what, so we talked about, like, faith in self, I think is very much in this. Is why the selfish thing, I think, is coming up.
Joel's on the phone.
It's fine. For someone who thinks he's really smart, he's actually not that bright. And
he's pretty dumb.
Like, he's like justifying these like people running rampant and doing atrocities and not thinking that people aren't going to notice that it's staged or fake. Like, this is a large group of people that
Yeah.
this happened to, that all have family members, that all have friends, they're gonna know those people.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, I understand controlling media and sometimes in a way that can be manipulative, blah blah, we're not getting into that
Well,
intricacy,
I'm like sending a
but
message too. It's like, if you want to rebel
yes,
against me, this is what will happen to you.
yeah, this is what your
But
legacy will be. But I
yeah.
also think he's underestimating that other people are as obsessed with legacy as he is. I don't think anyone else cares,
Yeah.
to be honest, as much as he
Yeah.
does.
No, I
But that
agree.
was, I just thought that like series of events of him being like, I
Mhm.
have to hug my daughter because she's like my grounding in my life because I
Yeah.
killed someone else's daughter.
Mhm.
I just, I get
I'm
so
sorry.
angry.
I shouldn't be laughing at
Oh, I
this,
know.
but it's like,
I don't get this riled up very often. Everybody, this is not normal. I would say.
and
So,
I agree with you 100%.
I know.
Just so you know.
Uh, I just,
Yeah, it's frustrating.
I know. I also realize this is fictional, but this actually happens in real life, so it's both. So
It's fictional, but again, we're reading this at an oddly uh relevant time, I guess.
yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I had our friend Allie was checking in with me yesterday. She's like,
yeah,
figured I should just check in on you and see how you're
how you
doing. And
doing?
I was like, it's kind of surreal because we read about things like this all the time.
Yeah.
In the books that we read. We read
Mm-hmm.
about exactly what's happening right now. It's oftentimes in the books that we read, this has already happened and they've already suffered, an
Yeah,
oppressive
it's
regime and
post. Yeah,
the new rebellion is starting. But like everything that I've read has kind of prepared me for the inevitability of something like this happening.
yeah.
Didn't think it would happen in my lifetime.
You know,
But every generation says that, and eventually it's
they
got to
do.
be one of the generations. Um, so yeah, I was like, I probably should be freaking out a little more, but I have this oddly like it just feels very surreal, and so I'm kind of calm. We'll
I
see.
think there's a difference between, and I think it's kind of what you're saying. Of we, both of us are educated women. This we knew this was coming, right? Like this
Mhm.
isn't like sadly a surprise or a shock with a lot of this.
Yeah.
So I think when something meets the expectations that you sadly were hoping didn't come is a
Mhm.
little bit different than maybe some people's view of, well, this will never happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think that put very well.
Yeah.
But it is wild, like meanwhile, like I'm just sitting in my cozy library, it's snowing outside, it's beautiful, and I'm just like, yeah. Mm.
Oh, which it's hard to justify the
Yeah.
like because again you want to fall back into that comfort, which is you should, right? Like
You should be able to, yeah, like you shouldn't hold it against yourself.
no,
It's just like, yeah, it's complicated.
it's complicated. You have to find ways. I think finding softness in times of upheaval is its own kind of rebellion if you're
Hmm.
doing it with the idea of, I'm doing this so I can do other things later.
Yeah.
I think it's its own form, and finding whatever way best that you can help, because like the way that I can help is different than the way that like other people can do things and help.
Yeah.
And regardless of where you're available or how you're available to help, regardless of
Hmm.
where you end, is all great. Like even if it's like I gave $5 to that thing, you did something, right? Like I'm not saying you
Yeah,
have to give monetarily. You can give monetarily. You can give your time. There's different ways
there
to
are.
do it, but you did
You did
something.
something. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, everyone should just really stop being so hard on themselves and on their peers, honestly, too.
Yes.
Everyone is dealing with the same thing right now, and everyone is having different emotional impact, different physical and mental impacts about it.
Yes.
And everyone has, I mean, if what we're fighting for is the right to live and be ourselves and the protection and all of that, that does also extend to the idea of rebellion and revolution, where it's like, if you're doing what you can do, that's all you
Great.
can do, really.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
exactly. Yes.
yeah. Was that only the first thing on your list?
Yeah. I have
What's number
three more.
2?
The other like 2 or 3 are a little bit smaller, I think.
Okay.
This I think is actually really relevant to the book and could be interesting later.
Mhm.
Yasin being called a king's man by Verma. So
Ooh.
she mentions it in this section, and I know Firma means that in like a great way.
Mhm.
It because it's the opposite of what he was, so it's her way of accepting him. From a Yasin's perspective, that cannot settle well. That cannot settle well with him. There's no way it does. Like, because I don't really think he wants to be. He even says it. He goes, "I want to be free. I don't want to
Yeah.
be anyone's anything." But to Firma,
Mhm.
that's comforting. She was, kind of propped
Yeah.
up to
She
be
grew up
someone's
in the
something. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I don't think that's a negative. But for Yasin, like to his core, freedom and independence is what he wants, which I relate to. That is actually something people
Yeah.
have asked me, like, what is your main goal? And I said, freedom and independence. Being an
Mhm.
independent person has always been my goal in life. People are like,
Yeah.
that's an interesting goal. And I'm like,
It's
it is what
so
it is.
I agree 100% with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
And
great
I'm
goal.
not saying like unhealthy independence. I mean like financial independence, like not having to worry about money, feeling settled in my life. Like those
Being
kinds
able to
of
make your own decisions and choices.
yes, which I have been
Mhm.
able to a good majority of my life. Like I'm
Of
not
course. Yeah.
saying that like I was oppressed. Gosh bless no. I've been
No.
very independent from the time I popped out. So like that's nothing new. My dad had to hold me like this because if I was too close to somebody, I had a meltdown. Like that was
I love
just
that for you.
how I was. But I think I just knowing what Yasin was raised to have thought of, right? Like he talks about kind of being raised with the Arahasan, and he even
Yeah.
talks about kind of being like I think maybe that's a little bit of the difference between I don't think Samson ever bought into the Arahasan ideals ever. I
Mm.
think Samson did at one point. I think when he was younger, he's like, yeah, fight against the power structure that held me down. I think Samson goes, I was a part of that power structure. I've seen what happens when you're not a part of that power structure. I don't like either one.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I've seen both sides, kind of thing. Um, so I think his perspective kind of is a little bit different. I think at some point Yasin kind of, which is okay, I get it. He was surviving in his own way, but I think he might have bought into the like idea of it a little bit more as a
Mhm.
way of survival. And so I
Oh
just can
yeah.
imagine that part of his brain is like, I'm no king's man, but he like kept himself cool
Oh
and
yeah.
didn't
I think
talk
so
about
too.
it.
Funny that you should mention the whole Kingsman thing because his last name is Knight, which is the Kingsman.
Yep. Which we don't know where that comes from either.
No.
Necessarily. We don't know. Maybe it's a because he's also Janthari, right?
He's half
So maybe
Genthark, half Ravani, so
Ravani.
yeah.
So maybe it's a Janthari. I don't know where
It could
the
be.
last names come from. If it's matrilineal or
Yeah.
patrilineal necessarily in the society, but
Yeah, I'm uncertain. Oh, I do think it might be patrilineal because Anna kept her maiden name on the scrolls.
oh, okay. So it is. I didn't know if it was a traditionally because like
Yeah.
dependent like Native American culture is more of a matrilineal cultural line.
Indian is
So
patriarchal.
patrilineal. Okay, cool. Yeah, a lot
Very,
of
very
them
much
are.
so. Oh,
So
yes. But yeah, no, that's a good point. But yeah, his last name is Knight. It's
yeah,
very funny.
I think in general, which is his whole life, and he talks about it, very confused identity
Yeah.
in more ways than one. He's really fighting it from
Yeah.
all sides.
Poor guy.
He is, bless him. So yeah, I just thought that was an interesting little note there
Mhm.
about that. So
What's number 3?
okay, I have to find my
Number
note
3.
on it because I literally go
Number 3.
Yasin, page 179. So I got to find my quote because I made notes in my Kindle as I went along
Love
this
it.
time. Oh, okay. So this is kind of interesting, and I think something we can both talk about a little bit because we have moved away from home, where we were born and raised. But do you know the section I'm about to talk about? So,
I think so, yeah.
Yasin's walking along
Yes. Mm-hmm.
in the city. I can't think of the name of the city right now. It just says the city. But
Ronnie.
is it Ronnie? Yeah, he goes, the city has gone on without him, evolving without his supervision. He knew he had no claim on the capital or its ways, but he had been born here and had been raised by these streets. shaken sand out of his hair after a winter storm, strained his neck as he and the others watched the first birds take on the Metal Warriors in game of winning. Right. So like he's talking about like going back to something, especially because he had a lot going on in his life. And so I put,
Yeah.
as someone who was moved away from where they grew up, I find this interesting. Going back to a place that has changed from your remembering is difficult because it's like the last scrap of who you are is gone.
I That is so interesting. We have very different perspectives on this because I'll be honest with you, my family moved
Really?
around a lot. So, like, I
Yeah.
don't know if
Mm-hmm.
I tie any part of my personality to a place. They moved from India. We went to
Mm-hmm.
Michigan, Kansas. We were in Florida for a while. At that point in my life, like, if you had asked middle school me, I might have felt that way because then we moved to New York. But then
Yeah.
we moved to New York. Then I went to DC for school. I was in Scotland for
Yeah.
study abroad. Then I moved to Florida, to a different part of Florida. Then I moved to St. Louis. So, like, for me, there's no, even when I go back to Mayapack, like, what home is for me is literally my parents' house. That's where all of my memories are.
Mm-hmm.
They change. My dad changes something big every time I go home, there's something new that he's done. So like there's like no sense of consistency.
Consistent stability there. That's fair.
Yeah,
I
which is like it's so interesting. Yeah, I
I
want to know what you think.
similar but different. So I moved around a lot as a kid as well. My dad
Mm-hmm.
works does work and has worked in aircraft. If you
Yeah.
know anything about the aircraft industry, not the most stable industry in the world. So I will, to me, Oklahoma is my main core. If you hear me talk about it, I say I'm from Oklahoma because that's where I spent a
Mm-hmm.
majority of my life. I've lived in southern Missouri for a while. I also lived in Dayton, Ohio
Mm-hmm.
for a little bit of my life as well. And then I moved quite a bit around in Oklahoma, but I was mostly, which interestingly, people don't like talk about this part, but like depending on the part of Oklahoma you're in, there are slight cultural differences,
Uh-huh.
partially
That makes
because of
sense.
the native tribes that are associated
Yeah.
or that were planted there, actually. But
Mm-hmm.
so it's a little bit different depending. But in general, I would say Eastern Oklahoma is kind of where my like core thing is, and I'm kind of intrigued by this because I have a it's maybe slightly different in a way that he's talking about it, but a similar experience where I was in St. Louis. My college roommates came up and visited me like one time shortly after we moved
Mm-hmm.
up here, and then my one of them got married, so I flew back to Oklahoma
Mm-hmm.
in like 2021, and I moved in 2019. Um, and like I was driving around in the town that I went to college in, so I spent a lot of like 4 years of my life in this town driving through, and it was like shocking and striking. I figured I would feel like homesick, kind of
Yeah.
thing, and it was really interesting to me that there was not a single part of me that wanted to go back that did not feel like I didn't feel homesick necessarily. I was
Yeah.
expecting that kind of like homesick feeling, but there was like a part of like a sense of loss in that because
Mm-hmm.
you've heard me talk about this. St. Louis social and like structure baffles me. I
Mm-hmm.
always do it wrong. I don't know how to explain it. Like there's just like unspoken social rules
Yeah.
in a lot of areas. I feel like St. Louis has a large amount of them that I get wrong a lot of the time. Um and like in Oklahoma, I just didn't have that sense because I think I just knew
Right. You
those
just knew
rules.
what to do. Mm-hmm.
Right? I also think people were probably pretty quick to verbally tell you what rule you were breaking, and you could decide whether or not you wanted to go along with it or not. So I think there was also like the heartbreak of being like, I've been in St. Louis a long time now. St. Louis to me feels like home, but like not. Like people ask
Yeah.
me, where are you from? Oklahoma. That will always be
Mm-hmm.
probably my answer. But like I've been here since 2019. It's been a long time.
Well,
So
so when people ask me where I'm from, I still say New York too.
yeah.
But that was like middle and high school. It was like my formative years. It's where my best friends. We
Yeah.
all grew up in Mayapack. Like when I travel, like when I travel, I always say I'm from New York too. But
Mm-hmm.
like honestly, I feel like my dad would have an interesting perspective on this because his family moved around a little bit when he was younger, but they settled in my like birth town
Mm-hmm.
of Nashik. when he was still quite young. And they lived in like old Nashik. It used to be a very small town, kind of a village. It was like
Mhm.
tiny community. And it's a huge city now, huge.
Mm.
And so, like, when we go back, like, going back there with him is always really wild. Also, going back to like Bombay with him is wild because, like, that, you know, they went to college there. But, like,
Mhm.
he drives in India, which being in the car with him in America can be slightly terrifying. Being in the car with him in India, he learned how to drive there. He is so
Yeah,
good at it. I would have a mental breakdown if I tried to drive in India. It is not.
that's fair.
I would just be sobbing with the car stopped, waiting for people to let me in. Anyways, um, but he'll be like, "Oh yeah, if you go down this road, this is there." Like when he now like old Nashik by like the Ganges River is like kind of like a historical area. And but like so if you go down there, he'll be like, "Oh yeah, and then you go through this and this is where that is and this is where that is." And it's like I think he is too practical of a person. He's not very emotional. He's a lot more logical. And so I
Mhm.
think that if he really stopped to think about it though, I feel like he might have some similar feel. I don't know, Sanjay. I don't want to
Sanjay
put
would think.
words in your mouth, but I would be interested
Well,
to hear his perspective on this very
that'd
much
be
so.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked I think this is where we're starting to see, like what you were mentioning, we're seeing
Hmm.
Yasin. We're seeing who he is. We're seeing him trying to find himself. Because I think he almost
Yeah.
thinks of himself more as Ravani than
I love
Janthar.
him so much. I love you so much too. So it makes
Thank
sense.
you. I do. I probably will read more into Yasin's things because I do truly think Yasin and I have very similar thought processes in the way that we approach
Yeah.
things. So like a lot of my notes were about Yasin and Leo and less about Alina. But
Love it.
Alina's just trying her best. Like
Poor
I
girl.
she's
Yeah.
just doing her best. I don't really have a lot to like comment on about her in her like current
That
emotional
the
state.
last scene of her like working with the fire and then like
Yeah.
disaster strikes. I mean,
Ugh.
keeping track of the relationship that every person has with fire.
Yeah,
Fire is very mischievous. Dear Lord, that the
it
fire
is.
is its own character. It
It
is not
is.
nice.
When I think of, and this is not as like nice as this is, but when I think of like characteristics of fire and fire being a character, I think of Billy Crystal does the US dubbing, but in Howl's Moving Castle, Calcifer,
Oh my god, yeah, that's so funny.
he's a little more like lighthearted, although he is kind of mischievous. He's like, don't
It's
put
very
that in me.
mischievous.
Don't do it. And they're like,
Yeah.
we have to cook. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Like I find
Honestly, that's hilarious.
yeah.
Yeah, that her she like I'm so interested to see how like where fire goes. But like she's like it makes me think that anyone could firebend if they went about it
Mm-hmm.
the correct way.
Yeah. It's not,
Is what
which
I
I think
think.
is why they don't do it that way.
Yeah.
Because if you're the chosen one to control fire and you realize that if you just do these things anyone can control it, then you lose
Mm-hmm.
your
Yeah,
power.
it's true. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have to check on my bread in 7 minutes. So,
Perfect.
do you want to?
I
What was the fourth thing?
It's something very quick and I just think it's mostly funny.
Let's do
I
it.
think it's hilarious that Leo thinks he can control madness. Like that's something that he can just will himself not to do. That was
Yeah.
it.
I mean,
I just
that
think it's
is
funny.
mad. That is madness in itself.
Yes. He's like, I won't allow it. And I'm like, you do realize that's not how it works, buddy.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
you
we get
can't
that.
will
Ain't that
yourself
like a
into not
man?
being mad. Yeah, yes, it was that, like, which I know that was earlier on, but it was like one of the first highlights I made in that section because I was like, what do you mean, buddy? Come on. Like, he really,
Yeah.
Leo is my number one op in this book so far. I have big feelings
Yeah.
about him, which he's
I know.
supposed to be. But,
Mm-hmm.
anyhow.
All right. Well, with that, I don't remember what happens in the next. I like only vaguely remember the ending of this book, and I don't fully remember how we get there. So I have no idea what we're about to read in
I'm very
chapters
excited.
19 through 21, but I'm excited. Yeah.
We're kind of building up, clearly, which I know we are, but like we're kind
Yeah.
of all of the pieces, like her like telling the gold cap guy to like release all the info about them, like they're kind of starting to fall
Yep. Starting
into
to
place.
fall into place.
So
I
intrigued.
know. I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay warm.
Yes.
Listen to our podcast.
Please do. We have a lot of things to say.
Yeah.
So all right,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
Bye.